everyone. We will go ahead and get started. So excited to go on this journey with you all tonight. I'm going to move my screen over here. If you haven't already dropped your name and location in the chat, super curious to see where everyone is coming from. But yeah, we have a full class plan, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. If you have any questions throughout the chat, please obviously feel free to ask them in the chat. I will be paying attention. So, okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so for those of you that don't know me, there's quite a few familiar faces on the call tonight, but there's a couple people that I haven't connected with yet. My name is Michelle, and I am a Global Akashic Records teacher. I also specialize in parts work, and I am a psychic mentor. So I help psychics tune into their psychic gifts, activate their psychic gifts, really come to know and understand their psychic gifts better. It's really an honor to do this work. I am constantly humbled and just in so much gratitude for the ability to be a steward of the Akashic frequency and to work with psychics and healers. It truly is a dream come true for me. And yeah, I'm here to help you also actualize your dreams into reality. We're so needed at this time. Our light is so needed on the planet. And for those of you that have been in an awakening process for quite some time, like myself, I think it's becoming more and more obvious and evident exactly why we are here at this time. And so, really, one of my main goals is to just help people to align with their highest timeline and do the soul mission that they came in to do and spread as much light as possible and uplift the consciousness of the collective, because I really do believe that the answer that we're seeking is going to come from the inside out. We're not going to fight our way into the new earth. We're going to cultivate it on the inside. It's a shift in consciousness that is required at this time. And so, yeah, the Akashic frequency is the best way that I know to evolve consciousness. So, yeah, I feel like this is my little piece of contribution to humanity and to the evolution of humanity. So, I'm also the founder of Academy of Sacred Leadership, which is the school that I run the Quantum Akashic Practitioner program through, and I founded the International Board of Akashic Practitioners. So, yeah, but that's not where my story began. I had my awakening in 2013, and I've been through a lot, let's just say. And so I think the first time that I set the goal to have a six-figure spiritual led business was in like 2017. So, it took me a while to get to where I am, and I'm here to help you not take that long. Like everything that I've learned, I want to pass it on. And really, it's within the last, so the last year for me has been incredibly transformative. From where I was this time last year to where I am now is just like absolutely insane. And it all came through the Akashic Records work. So the first introduction I had to the Akashic Records was in 2013. And essentially, I had a Kundalini awakening, and I went into the Akashic Records for 48 hours straight. I didn't know that that's what I was doing at the time. Um, but it was, and then I was kind of on and off with the Akashic Records for a few years there in between, but never really was like super devoted, dedicated until I started really dedicating myself to Akashic Records. That's when the major shifts started happening, and they happened fast. And it all came from a dream that I had, which is so significant. And it was like, um, the more your consciousness expands. Oh, as your consciousness expands, or as my consciousness expands, I reshape my reality. That was the line that came through in the dream. And for me, whenever I'm going through big transition points, I always have like aliens, specific guides, galactic guides that I work with that come to me in my dream space, and they come at very specific transitional points. And It's interesting because I can always tell I'm going through a big transition when I start having my galactic guides show up in my dreams. But that specific affirmation was one that I was given the day that I decided to devote myself to the Akashic Records. And I did not know the evening that I had that dream that I was going to be starting my Akashic Records devoted practice that evening. So it was just like really beautiful synchronicity. So, okay. So we're going to open the Akashic Records together. Um, we're just going to kind of like drop in for just a moment because I have a prayer that I want to recite for all of us as we're going in. So I'm going to take us in through the pathway prayer. And I'm going to do like the shortened version of it because we're not going to be in the Akashic Records for too long tonight. But I personally like to pray in the Akashic Records because I feel like, it's just amplifies the prayer and it's really powerful to create a prayer in the group field. So if you want to go ahead and close your eyes and take a couple deep breaths. And just get centered and grounded in your energy. And if you'd like, you can place one hand on your heart and one hand on your belly and just breathe. And I always like to open the records by imagining a ball of white, golden, or rainbow light moving up and down my central channel. And this is because it's best to regulate your nervous system before going into the records. Because what happens is when we have a regulated nervous system and we're entering from a peaceful, neutral state, okay, it opens our higher heart channel, which is here. It's just above your heart chakra and in between your heart and your throat. And this is actually the chakra point or the channel point that you are going to access your channel from. So you're going to be entering in through the higher heart chakra, and the higher heart chakra can only be activated when you are in a calm, regulated state. Okay, so if you're ever feeling like you're in survival mode and you are looking for higher guidance and you want to connect to your team, the very first thing you're going to want to do is bring yourself into that regulated state, and then boom, you can access your higher wisdom and your higher guidance. Otherwise, you're just going to be spinning around in your monkey mind. So let's take some deep breaths, and we're going to imagine drawing a ball of light up the root chakra, up to the crown of the head, holding at the top of the crown of the head, and then dropping it back down. Okay? So we're going to draw that up from the root chakra on the in breath, and then hold, and then exhale and drop it on the out breath. And I'm going to do two guided breathings, and then we're going to do three on our own. So let's go ahead and get started. So breathing in, inhaling, and drawing that light up through the root chakra, drawing it all the way up through the central channel, up through the top of the crown of the head, and holding the breath as well. And then exhaling and dropping that light back down, making that exhale longer than that inhale was to bring regulation to the nervous system. And one more time, we're going to do this guided breath. So drawing that light up through the root chakra, drawing it up through the central channel, out through the top of the crown of the head, holding at the top, holding the breath. And then exhaling, dropping that breath and that ball of light back down the central channel. And we're going to do three more rounds of breath, and you're just going to be drawing that light up your body as you breathe in, and then holding, and then exhaling and dropping that light back down. And you can keep your eyes closed, and I'm going to recite the pathway prayer now, and you can just repeat it in your mind, okay? And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for courage, direction, and guidance to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of all connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand. Help me to know myself in the light of the Akashic Records, to see myself through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom, teachings, and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of me have for me. And we're going to repeat that one more time, and I'm going to have you say your first, middle, last name. So help me to know first, middle, last name in the light of the Akashic Records, to see first, middle, last name through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom, teachings, and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of first, middle, last name have for her, him, them. The records are now open. And we're going to take just a moment here to allow this frequency to open up in our body and our being. And then I am going to recite a prayer. And I'm actually going to leave the records open until we get to the end of the class. So if you just write in the chat if you have to leave early, and I'll write how to close. Okay, so I call forward the version of me, and repeat in your mind. I call forward the version of me who already walks in sovereign power, who leads with clarity, who serves with devotion. I release all timelines where my light felt unsafe. I dissolve the vows of invisibility, the distortions of humility that shrink me, the karmic imprints of persecution, exile, and scarcity. I remember who I am. I am a conduit of source intelligence. I am a steward of planetary light. I am here on assignment. May leadership feel natural in my body. May my nervous system calibrate to visibility and wealth as safety. May responsibility awaken mastery within me. I choose the timeline where my soul mission flourishes. I choose the timeline where my gifts are received with reverence. I choose the timeline where my work circulates globally. I choose my wealthiest timeline now. I collapse all identities that equate struggle with spirituality. I release the belief that power requires sacrifice. I anchor the reality where devotion and prosperity coexist. Let my work ripple across continents. Let my presence activate remembrance in thousands. And as I expand, so does the field. May six-figure, multi-six-figure, and beyond flow as a natural byproduct of my service to this planet. And may money meet me as clean energy. I choose to hold more light. I choose to hold more responsibility. And I choose to hold more wealth. I am only available for the timeline where my soul mission thrives, and my material world reflects that thriving. Records, seal this recalibration now. I am aligned with my wealthiest timeline now. I am aligned with my mission of highest service now. I am activating the identity required to embody this mission of higher service now. And so it is. Okay. So just letting that land. And if there's anything that you want to add to your personal prayer, do that now. And we are going to go ahead and get started with the presentation. Like I said, I'm going to leave the records open. I'll put in the chat. So the thing about it is that if you're a very sensitive person, you definitely want to make sure to close the records. Otherwise, you're going to be feeling really spacey. So this is what you will say 3 times when you want to close the records. But I'm going to leave them open for the duration of this presentation and then close them at the end. So, all right, let's get started. So, why you came here? The 6 keys of building a 6-figure psychic business. Now, these are the 6 most important things that I have personally found for finally stepping into this level of success that I have finally reached, that I've been reaching for so long. Sorry, somebody just knocked on my door, so that like distracted me. Okay, so let's talk about identity. So what is identity? Identity is the collection of beliefs, assumptions, emotional patterns, and self-perceptions that define what feels normal for you. So identity is the lens through which you interpret reality. Uh-oh, somebody is not muted, and that was really loud. Hold on. Okay. I just muted everybody. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So identity is the lens through which you interpret reality. And 2 psychics can have the same skills, certification, and audience size, and one's going to make $4,000 a month, one's going to make $40,000 a month. Okay. So it's not your audience size that determines, how much money you're making. I'm sure we all know that at this point. And you don't, of course, you don't consciously wake up and decide that you're going to be the type of person who sabotages your growth. That is something that is sort of wired into your nervous system and oftentimes is happening at a subconscious level as well as a physiological level. Okay. So if your identity is wired for survival, stability, avoiding judgment, staying small to stay safe, your actions will unconsciously align with that. And again, this will happen at a level and a layer beneath your conscious mind. So your identity creates your behavior creates results, and your results reinforce that identity. Okay, so that is the loop that is running underneath the program. So there are essentially 5 phases of an identity shift. And we're going to kind of talk about some of these because some of them interweave and intermesh with each other. So obviously, the first one is becoming aware of who it is that we believe ourselves to be. And we can see who we believe ourselves to be based on what's going on in our life. Our life is telling us a story of what we believe. And of course, you know that your 3D reality and everything that you see in your current reality is just the result of things that you have thought in the past. So, your reality that you're seeing is actually a relic of the past. And it does take time when we make shifts for things to change in the 3D. I have found with identity shifting that typically within, like, I would say anywhere from 8 to 12 weeks of a legit, like, I'm in a whole new reality identity shift, that I start seeing things in the external, like more and more and more. And it will start a little bit probably before that. But that's been my personal kind of experience with it. It's been up to like 3 months that it takes for things to kind of start moving and flowing in the direction. So, yes, number one, your awareness. You want to expose the current identity. And another thing that I want to mention, and I think I do talk about this later in the presentation, but I want to say that the quantum field, so if you understand how the quantum field works in the double slit experiment, where observation like creates the focus point for that basically turns the wave into the particle, so it gives it the location. Your awareness, what you focus on is like it, that's what manifests. Okay. So when you're shifting your identity, you're becoming aware of the things that you typically would be focusing on, and you're like focusing on maybe what this new version of you would be focusing on, right? Like you're literally, the identity is the deepest layer of the psyche. So when you shift your identity, you're going to notice that you even have like different higher thoughts, because you're not even thinking about things from the same lens that you would before. But first, you want to expose the current identity. Then, of course, you decide. This is a conscious recalibration, and it always begins with a decision. And this is where the quantum field comes into play, because the decision is that point of focus, right? So the universe loves a decision. When you are like, boom, decide, done, like it loves that because it doesn't like the wobbly, wibbly, wobbly back and forth. If you've ever noticed in your life when you are feeling really uncertain and confused, that's what will get reflected back to you, because you are the creator, you are the architect. So if you're confused, the universe is confused because it doesn't know what to give you. So as soon as you decide and you are like, this is who I am, for example, or this is what I'll tolerate, or this is what I won't tolerate, the universe will respond and meet you there. The next thing for identity shifting is regulating the nervous system. This is so important because this is going on in the background. And a really good example of this, and I just made a post about this yesterday, is like, you know, you say that you want to have more clients as a psychic. And then when the calendar fills up, what happens? You start to feel overwhelmed. You start to feel pressure. You start to get tired. You start to need naps. You start to have to disappear or like slow things down, slow momentum down once the momentum just got started. And what that is it's actually a nervous system response. So your nervous system is reacting in a way where it's actually making you feel so tired that you can't do the things because it's trying to protect you. And so what happens is when we start to become more aware of our nervous system and the way that it operates and functions, we can notice when that's happening. And instead of allowing it, and sometimes we need a break, right? Of course, sometimes we really do. But other times we can just tell ourselves, like, I am safe in this body now. I am safe in this body now. I am safe in this body now. And we can, do some nervous system regulation. We can do some breath work. We can bring ourselves back into a more safe, internal, neutral state. And you may find at that moment that all of a sudden you don't need that nap, because really all that you needed was a little bit of nervous system regulation. But it takes having the awareness of when your nervous system is activated and how your particular nervous system is wired. For me, I know that I'm a freezer. Okay. There's fawn, flight, fight, freeze. I'm a freeze. So that, for me, when the tired thing is really real. That is something that happens for me. So just get to know your body and start to understand that your nervous system does not speak to you in thoughts. Your nervous system is all somatic. It's all about the way you feel in your body. So when you notice you're going through periods where you're low energy for a period of time, that is an indication that there is some nervous system stuff happening generally, unless it's like specific health issues. But generally, especially if you're going through an identity shift or you're upgrading your life in some way, and then all of a sudden you have like low energy, that's your nervous system. Okay, so the next step is embodiment. So your identity shifts are going to lock in through your behavior. So you have to actually, this is that part that people are constantly talking about. Be who you want to be. Like, be the new version of you. Okay, yes, that is a part of it. You actually have to be, act, behave from that space in the present. But what also is like the next layer is like making decisions from that new person, that new identity. So, like, when it comes down to something that would have stressed you out in the past, or when you have the choice to choose from safety or expansion, you're making choices from the new identity. That's when you really start to unlock the new version of you, because that's where the magic happens. So, and then, of course, repetition of and practice of this new identity. Okay. So, a couple of uncomfortable truths about identity shifts. Identity shifts require letting go. Identity shifts often require a change in environment. Okay. This could be a physical environment, this could be a job that has to change, or a relationship. Okay. If you think you are going to upgrade into a new identity and a new income and everything in your life will remain the same, I've got news for you. That is not how this works. Okay. There will be changes that have to occur in order for this new version of you to fully anchor and land. Now, there's the saying that, what is it that they say? Your new life will cost you your old one. Okay, that's one that I can say yes to. Um, there's also the saying that a collapse is required before expansion. Now, I will challenge that slightly and say that yes, your reality does have to rearrange, but I don't think that it has to happen in like a traumatic collapsing kind of a way. Like, I do think that we can have nervous system support through the shifts, okay? And that is something that I'm really anchoring in for myself as I go through major rearrangement of my reality right now, because that's what's going on, right? I've been in the midst of an identity shift now for a little while, and I'm at the part where I'm changing my environment, and it's kind of crunchy. Yeah, it's a lot, but it's not a collapse. It is just a rearrangement, okay? Also, there's grief in identity shifts. There's a lot of grief because you are outgrowing everything that you know and everything that you've, yeah, like you are familiar with. And, you know, it's difficult, it's really hard. And also, it's triggering for other people because you're outgrowing their perception of you. And you are also mirroring to them their lack of growth in certain ways, and that's really challenging. And so identity shifts can be lonely before they're celebrated. That in between space is really sacred. So this is a part of becoming a six-figure psychic. Okay, like the identity shift is real. The second thing that is most important, and this is kind of like a subcategory, right, because it's number two of the identity shifting, decide with certainty. That is the key. We are clearing the doubt from the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit. Okay. Certainty is that internal decision. It is the absence of negotiation with your own path. It is a decision made with such firmness that in your mind, it has already happened. And I have here in this little thought bubble why working in the Akashic Records creates certainty. Because when you work in the Akashic Records and you spend time in the records, you start to understand time as nonlinear, and you understand that as soon as you say yes to something, it's already happened. So when you make a decision with certainty, it's already happened. You've already done it. At some point, it's inevitable. Okay. So understand that as soon as you make the choice with the degree of certainty required, then boom, it's manifest. It's just a matter of you walking toward it. Okay. So the quantum field, again, responds to certainty, the double slit experiment, like I was just saying, it loves a choice, it loves a point of focus. And so, yeah, most psychics are not struggling because they lack the gifts. They're struggling because they're still deciding, wondering and evaluating, still asking, is this going to work? Certainty is what you need. Certainty removes that question. And once the question disappears, reality reorganizes. Now, how do we get to a place of certainty when we are carrying so much doubt? Well, that's going to come through inner work. Okay. One of my favorite tools for this is number one, hypnotherapy. Number two, I do like to do some NLP stuff. And yeah, I mean, also parts work, I was going to say. Parts work, working with the part that feels uncertain, understanding, it usually comes from a moment in childhood where something happened. We go back, we heal it at the root, we get to understand the story, we recode it on a quantum level. And so that's kind of part of a process that I have developed. And then the next key to building your six-figure psychic business, let me see if anybody's written anything in the chat. No? Okay. Your nervous system. Okay, we talked about this a little bit. So I want you to answer these three questions in the chat. What income level currently feels normal in your body? What income level feels exciting but slightly unrealistic? And what income level feels unsafe? Whoever wants to respond. And take a moment to respond. And again, as you answer these questions, I want you to notice how your body feels. So what income level currently feels normal in your body? Let's start with that one. Does anyone want to be brave? What income level currently feels normal in your body? Yeah. Normal, 4K, exciting, 10K, unsafe, 100K. 6K feels normal, 12K feels exciting, 40K feels unsafe. Perfect. Yeah, so these are monthly numbers. Great. Yeah. So notice how these feel, right? That is the key to understanding your nervous system and where you're at and where your cap might be. And your nervous system is always going to respond through your physiology. So if your nervous system, your subconscious mind equates more money to more visibility to more responsibility, more responsibility to more pressure, the body is going to contract, and that contraction is going to become your income ceiling. Okay. So another question that I want to ask you is, when you imagine doubling your income, what do you assume increases? What are you associating doubling your income with? Work. Okay. Right. Anybody else? When you imagine doubling your income, what do you assume increases? Lack of free time, effort, service, perform more, can't be myself. Ooh, interesting. Yeah. So it's interesting to sit with this question, right? And when we can see what we've been programmed with, we can then challenge that program. For example, we know that doubling your income does not always increase the amount of work. In fact, as you scale bigger and bigger, you have people working with you and for you. And also, the richest people in the world, their money just makes money. They don't work, you know? But we've been programmed with these things. And so we have to kind of really train our body to rewire. One of my favorite tools for rewiring and working with the nervous system, by the way, is EFT tapping. So you would work with something like, I know that in the past I've associated, you know, working harder with making more money, but I know that that's not true. I know that that's just something that I have learned, and I'm ready to unlearn that now. I'm ready to reframe the way that I am associating money and work. I believe that I can manifest more wealth easily and also still feel at ease in my body and my mind. This is just an example. I'm really just like winging that. um, but you can tap your way through your beliefs, okay? Once you know that they're there. And those are the places where you really need to work on clearing and rewiring. For me, I'll tell you, my biggest thing was that more money, and this is why I made my post yesterday about this, more money equals more responsibility. Okay. And once I realized that that was the freaking thing that was keeping me from making more money, oh, I was working on that. I was tapping that out because the reality is that more money equals freedom. And yes, responsibility increases, but the more responsible you are, actually, the more free you are. And that was something that I was really wiring into my brain. Okay. So I'm trying to be mindful of time. I could go on forever and ever about some of this stuff. So your nervous system. So again, when you imagine doubling your income, what do you assume increases? Identify the current association that you are making. Then create a new association through felt experience, which is kind of what I was just doing with the EFT. So imagine yourself receiving $20,000 this month and slow your body down while imagining that. If the body relaxes while picturing higher income, you are literally rewiring the association. So you can use these sort of mental tricks like NLP, which is another modality that I am certified in. And you can speak to the mind in the way that the mind operates, which is pictures, sounds, and feelings. Okay. The mind does not respond to words, it responds to the emotion and the feeling, or the subconscious mind. It responds to the feeling or the emotion, the picture, the image that you're imagining, and also sounds. Okay. So, number three, you're going to want to introduce micro evidence. So, the nervous system trusts proof. So you're going to create small confirmations that, for example, more money equals more support. Okay. Or more money equals more freedom. You could create some small confirmations that money helps you to feel more free. For me, more money equals more support. Hire a virtual assistant for 5 hours a week. That is an indication as I'm making more money, now I have more support. Another piece of the nervous system key is regulate while you are expanding. So when income increases and the body tightens, notice when you are contracting and tell yourself, like, we can have this and stay safe. just really always being aware when your nervous system is getting reactive. And that's just understanding the physiological signs that your body shows you and shares with you. So know your nervous system's physiological responses. Number 5, gradual capacity expansion. So you want to teach your body that it can hold more. So if more money currently feels like more responsibility, that means your system associates growth with overwhelm. So instead of jumping from 5K to 20K mentally, you would expand your capacity in layers. So I want to talk for just a second about my quantum identity shift, and then I have 2 other things, and then we're going to get into the last keys. So if you are interested in working together on a one-to-one capacity to up-level the fuck out of your life and your business, and you're ready for the changes that come with an identity shift, because there will be changes, I do have a one-on-one offer for quantum identity shift work for helping you to align with your highest level, okay? And this is the offer here. We would work together on a one-on-one basis, and the start date would be within the next 2 weeks. So I am going to post a link here in the chat for anybody that wants to book a call for the quantum identity shift. Okay. So, and also you'll get $111 off if you book a call in the next 48 hours. So the next sort of level is that I also have a business accelerator that I'm enrolling for right now. So if you are interested in learning how to conduct identity level shifts for both yourself and your clients, then you would want to go this path, which is becoming certified as a soul success coach and parts work practitioner. And so you get 2 certifications. You also get one-on-one guided business mentorship for 2 months. There's going to be some workshops that I teach in this container, including going global with digital products, Facebook ads training, marketing training, sales energetics, sell by DM is a big one that I'm going to be teaching. And so if you're interested in doing a business accelerator with me, highly recommend checking out this program. This is sort of nested inside my larger Quantum Akashic Practitioner program. So you would be joining us for these 2 months that we are getting these 2 certifications together. And if you are interested in the Quantum Akashic Practitioner path, which a couple of my Quantum Akashic Practitioner students are in the house right now. So that's really exciting. We are currently running our certification program, and you would be coming in on 4/22 for your opening welcome call and then joining the program on the 23rd. And you would be moving through the program with current students for the business portion of the program, which is what we are about to dive into. So on this path, you will earn 5 certifications: Quantum Akashic Practitioner, Quantum Akashic Hypnotherapist, Soul Success Coach, Self-Leadership, and Parts Integration, which is parts work, Parallel Life Internal Systems, which is essentially past life regression hypnotherapy. And this is for people that are ready to step into leadership. Okay, so this is a flagship certification path for practitioners ready to step into global authority, and you will master Akashic facilitation as well as lead trauma informed sessions with clients and students, and command psychic authority, build a scalable soul aligned business, and become globally certified under the International Board of Akashic Practitioners. So this path is for people that really want to have both business mastery and full-on psychic development and mastery in the Akashic records and the Akashic field. And you'll also be a member of the International Board of Akashic Practitioners through this path. So if anybody has any questions about that, let me know. I'm going to post the link. Let me see if I can pull up the link really fast. Oh my gosh, I have so many things going on. Okay. Stand store. And just give me a second. I'm going to post the link to book a call in case anybody feels called to do that. And if anybody has any questions about any of that, let me know. So it's basically like the first one is like full on one-on-one. And then the second one is like you're nested in the larger program. And then the third one is you are full on in the full program. Okay. Minus this. And I'm going to post the link here in the chat. So the first one, so it's a 2-month program. And there are, let me actually pull up the description so I can just show you. I think you can see that. Let me see. Can you? No. All right, I'll just read it to you. So basically, we start with the first session, which is a 90-minute one-on-one session, and it's like a deep internal recalibration. So we do like a quantum intake assessment to see where you're at. And then generally we'll start with like some parts work and just kind of get into your internal psyche to see, you know, what identity you're holding and where you're in survival or like really we feel into in the body where the tightness is when we think about money and income and stepping into this new level version. And then we go into those emotions via the parts work. So the first session is really like a healing session. And then I have an assessment that I send you where we basically map out like answers to certain questions so that we can see where your nervous system capacity lies. And the second session is your nervous system wealth capacity calibration and also a little bit of soul-led business clarity if there's time in that session. If not, we move that to the next one. It just kind of depends. So it's always going to be custom for everyone because everyone's so different. But essentially, it's like we do some parts work and internal psyche stuff. Then we get into nervous system calibration. Then we get into the business side because typically people that sign up for this have a spiritual business. So we do a little bit of business mentorship. And then there's also a quantum Akashic hypnotherapy session where we do an income and identity upgrade. And then I also have a hypnotherapy audio that I record for you. And then there's also a 30-day guided Akashic Records personal practice. So it's pretty extensive. There's a lot that goes into it. And then does anybody, let's see. Oh, yeah. And so Angela is in QAP. Yeah, feel free to ask any questions if you have them in the chat. Okay, so let's talk about channel development. So channel development is another important key for psychics, obviously, that are wanting to step into six-figure psychic land. And this is why Quantum Akashic Practitioner is such a powerful path because we spend the first part of that container working on our channel, okay? And then we are clear and we're connected and we're able to download the vision for the offer and all of that just flows so much more smoothly. Your channel development is the foundation of your psychic business. And when you refine your connection to God, source, creator, whatever name you use for the field of infinite intelligence that your work flows through, this is where the magic happens. The mind does not originate the deepest transmissions. It rearranges what it already knows. It's going to pull from memory, comparison, strategy, and logic. Your real offer, the one that carries charge, that feels alive, that magnetizes the right people without over explaining, does not come from mental effort. It comes through a higher channel. The mind executes and the channel receives. So yes, if you want to be a six-figure psychic, channel development needs to be top of the line priority, honestly. I would say for me, even number one, because the channel development came for me before the identity shift, came for me before the nervous system calibration, came for me before all of that, because it connected me with my higher self, increased God frequency, high vibrational energy in my body and my being, which allowed me to naturally begin to download how to heal myself. Okay. So you'll also learn how to heal yourself through your own channel development. And you're going to work with the tools that you have available. I've studied a lot of different healing modalities. Like I said, I had my awakening in 2013. My first certification that I got was in 2017. I got my NLP, hypnotherapy, EFT, um, time techniques training, and success coach training. And so that was the first set of modalities I learned. And then I started learning other modalities even as time went on, especially parts work, which is probably the one that I use the most, and all of my Akashic Records training. So, yeah. And then, of course, I pull from, Ayurveda as well for certain things, especially in the quantum intake assessment. But yeah, there's so many different modalities that I've studied. So spirit will always speak to you through the modalities that you have studied. The modalities that you know as a healer are like a language, okay? And God speaks to you through the language so the more that you learn, the more tools are available for spirit to move through you with. Like whatever modalities we're utilizing, it's always God moving through the channel that we clear the space for that energy to flow more smoothly and clearly through us. But it's operating through us. It's not actually us doing the work. We're just kind of sitting back and allowing that energy to move. And that's when the most powerful client sessions happen, right? When I'm like fully surrendered and I'm just allowing that energy to move through me. So, channel development is the practice of shifting out of ego mind and into the mind of God. And the Akashic records are often referred to as the mind of God because they hold the energetic record of all that ever has been, all that exists now, and all that lives in the potential. And they are a living field of intelligence that contain your soul's blueprint, your original design, and the highest trajectories available to you. And this is why working with the Akashic Records in your channel development, in your business, and your life is such a powerful key to success. You are strengthening communication with divine intelligence and recalibrating your consciousness. So, the next key to building a six-figure psychic business, of course, structure and systems. Okay, we are in the 3D here. We do need to have structure and systems because without systems, your income is going to spike and crash based on your energy. With systems, your business continues to move even on days that you are resting, integrating, or in deep creation. So, this means having clear offers, clear messaging, and also a clear ascension model, a way for someone to move from discovery to purchase without confusion. You want to have consistent content channels, a lead capture system, and follow up sequences, clean onboarding procedures, and defined client containers, as well as financial tracking and repeatable sales processes. This is when you start to get into systems and rhythms. So, for me, example, I have gotten into a rhythm where I know how to do a successful launch. Okay. Basically, I run these classes. I'll do a masterclass series where I'll run a masterclass kind of repeatedly for about like a month to a month and a half. And oftentimes it's a mixture of my organic audience and also Facebook ads. So I utilize Facebook ads for calling in new clients, calling in people that are aligned, that are meant to be in my field, and connecting them to this work. So I do that through these master classes, right? And so that is the first part of my system. It's a repeatable system that I use, and I run free classes according to whatever I'm enrolling for, like every 3 months. So the last series I did with this class was the Key to the Akash class, which is how I got connected with some of you that are on this call and are also now in the Quantum Akashic Practitioner certification. So yeah, I will help you build out a system that makes sense for you if you do the quantum identity shift or the either any of the programs really, and we do some business mentorship one-on-one together. We want to come up with a system that feels good for you and makes sense for your offers. Okay. So, structure and systems. Number one, audience growth system. So, you need a predictable way for new people to discover you. This is what I use Facebook ads for. Yeah, you're so welcome. Take care. Um, lead capture and nurture system. So once someone finds you, what happens next? Okay. Next, you want to have an offer ecosystem, which is an ascension model, which is a structured ecosystem that creates stable income. I'm going to talk a little bit about that on the next screen. Having a sales system at this level, most sales are going to be happening in your DMs. And then number 5, delivery and client experience system, clear expectations, boundaries, and optimized client portal and technology. This is like your website, okay? And then also like having boundaries with your clients and also making sure that, you're doing your best to help your clients achieve their goals. And also sales. So if you value sovereignty and integrity, the idea of convincing someone can feel misaligned, but here's the reframe that changes everything. Manipulation is trying to get someone to do something that serves you more than it serves them. Okay. So that's why for the longest time I had an aversion to sales because I felt like it was manipulative. But manipulation is trying to get someone to do something that serves you more than it serves them. And leadership in sales is helping someone move towards something that genuinely serves them, especially when fear is the only thing in the way. If you know that your product, your service can actually help this person immensely, it is your duty to help them to work through those fears, those objections, those things standing in the way of them claiming their own highest potential. Okay. As a healer, it is so important for us to develop sales skills and to utilize those sales skills ethically. So, if you know your work transforms people, if you've seen the results, if you've experienced it yourself, then avoiding the sales conversation is not humility, it is shrinking. It is allowing someone's fear to make the decision for them, and it is keeping your medicine in your pocket when someone is standing in front of you asking for your help. Okay? So, it's your duty. Developing an outreach strategy is intentional relationship building. So when you are in the DMs, what I am doing when I am in the DMs, I am intentional relationship building with people. So most of your sales are going to happen in the DMs. So that means that you don't treat your DMs casually, you treat them as a core growth channel, especially at the 6-figure level. Outreach is simply deciding that you will not leave your impact to chance, and messaging new followers is not about pitching, it is about connection. So I always message new followers, I always interact with them. I also intentionally connect with about 10 people in the DMs each day, whether that's people that I am nurturing that are in my folder or people that I'm actually finding and reaching out to and connecting with. And generally, I will just interact with them, maybe leave a comment on something, start a conversation. Again, it's casual. You never know where the conversation is going to go. I am not going into each of these conversations with the idea that I'm going to pitch or sell them something, or even that they would be a right fit for anything that I have to offer. I'm literally just starting to network, spread the energy, see who is aligned, and if it's meant to be, it will be, right? But if you want to grow and you want to make more money in your business, then you absolutely have to get in those DMs. Also, learning how to handle objections and how to sell by DM is part of the Soul Success coaching path. So, we talk all about sales in the Soul Success coaching module. So, the 6-figure blueprints offer tier. This is the final key, by the way, the 6-figure blueprint, which I said the class would end at 7:15, and it will. You have your offer tiers. So you want to have your free lead capture, then moving people into a low ticket digital product or masterclass, your mid tier, which would be your middle offer. For me, that's the quantum identity shift. That's my mid tier. Okay. High tier is my, certification paths. I have the one that's priced around $3,888. And then I have Quantum Akashic Practitioner, which is, the next level up. And so those are both mid to high tier. And then I also have customized like one-on-one packages sessions. You really want to get away from the selling one-on-ones, like one-off sessions to people, and start booking them into a program or an offer. versus like just having them book readings or having them book, healing sessions or whatever. That's gonna be like low ticket here. Like you need like a $1,000, $1,500 mid-tier offer, like a $5,000 high tier. High tier offers are gonna be like you're teaching something, you're teaching a skill, you're certifying people in something. Okay. People really value that. We want to learn and we want to walk away from the containers that we are in with something tangible, right? Like a certification. So the six-figure blueprint is know who you're serving, define your offer tiers, which is here, develop a signature product, which would be your high tier product here, your signature product, ethically understand sales, build a predictable audience growth engine, which for me is Facebook ads, intentional relationship building, which is DMs, right? And then also tracking your metrics. And so, yeah, that's it. I think that's the end. Yeah, book your call within 48 hours for limited pricing. Does anyone have any questions or comments? I just kind of like ranted at the camera for a while. So, will there be a replay of this call? Yes, I have recorded this call and I will be sending out this call in an email, like directly following this class to everyone that signed up. So, yeah. All right, y'all. Well, I look forward to hopefully chatting with some of you more soon. And if I have not already, I will be reaching out to you on Instagram if you provided me with your Instagram. Okay. All right. Have a good night, everybody, and take care.